Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, Stryker, Jordan, LuckyEevee, and our special guest this week is Felix. Today is our 57th episode, and we are going to be discussing the 2003 Kirby Right Back At Ya episode, Fossil Fools Part 2. So, let's get things started. Now, Kirby probably needs no introduction, but for those of you listening to this podcast for the first time who have never heard of him, Kirby is an incredibly successful and popular video game series made by HAL Laboratories. Kirby is a round pink puffball who is both very badass and very, very cute. And
yes, he initially was named Popopo by Sakurai, and also big surprise that you didn't know this was actually a Dedede show because reason.
Yeah, Dedede
Anyway.
coming out. Yeah,
Dedede, that's the name of the name. You should know. Dedede, it's the star of the show. Anyway.
Classic.
Now we're actually talking about Kirby.
Yeah, with it being such a huge success, an anime was made of it. And Sakurai, who actually was the creator of Kirby, he actually took part in the production, and he gave the makers two rules for it. Number one was that no human beings were to appear on the show at all. And the second one was that Kirby couldn't speak more than a few intelligible words, and everything else he would say would be in a really squeaky, high-pitched voice, and it's adorable. It really, really came out good. Now, the show turned out to be very satirical. Like, a lot of episodes were actually like parodies of things that were happening in modern society, like in Japanese news at the time, like that, while still also being very faithful to the games. And the show also received an English dub, which was handled by 4Kids, who's probably best known for their dub of Pokemon, as well as their infamous one of One Piece. And it's pretty much widely considered that the Kirby Right Back At Ya dub was the best one that they ever did. This is like the one time that the stars aligned and everything in the universe was perfectly cosmically aligned so that they could make the perfect dub for this show possible. King Dedede, who is the penguin king, and he's also an enemy of Kirby, especially in this series, they gave him a southern accent, and it fits him so well. It really does. It's to the point where when I play like Smash Bros. Or like other Kirby games, I can't help but hear his voice during like text boxes and things like that.
Indeed.
It's impossible to think of King Dedede without this voice.
Yeah. I feel like
I feel like, honestly though, the voices I associate with him are the game voice, the voice Sakurai did in Smash, and this voice.
I can see it. But yeah, also the thing that I feel like they should do is I feel like HAL Laboratories should do what Sega did and just hire Ted Lewis to be their Dedede voice, which is what happened with Mike Pollock, who voiced Eggman on the 2000s Sonic X dub, which was also done by 4Kids, interestingly enough. Sega liked it so much, they hired him to play Eggman for pretty much every single appearance afterwards, and it's worked out really good.
Shout out to you, Mike, if you're listening.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. And of course,
I feel like this is really like a bit of a dissonance from his from an earlier role where he played a general in Berserk.
Interesting. I did not know that.
That.
I really did not know that. Wow.
I know this as well, but I'd forgotten he did that. Oh man,
Yep.
He also, I believe, did one of the Cappies in the Kirby anime. So
yep, he was the mayor in Kirby Right Back At Ya.
Yeah,
and we actually get to hear him in this episode. But yeah, Dedede was voiced by Ted Lewis, who also voiced Dedede's assistant S. Cargoon, who was an imitation of comedian Paul Lynde, who also is the inspiration for Roger on American Dad. So that means S. Cargoon kind of sounds like this. Oh, sire, you're a hero to us all. That is my...
That's actually
pretty bad.
accurate.
Yeah.
I think my orgasm pills didn't get.
That's more of a Roger than S. Cargoon line. Yeah, what's amazing though
is that because Ted Lewis is both voicing both Dedede and S. Cargoon, he's often bouncing off himself, and he has great comedic lines and ability to do that, which is not something you see very often in voice actors.
Like I say, it really is amazing that one man could have like the conversation basically with himself as two completely unique, different characters, and have it sound so natural. It really is something else.
Absolutely.
We also
It
have
also-
Spanish accented Meta Knight in the show, voiced by Eric Stewart, which again, a really, really awesome thing.
Eric
I have to say
Stewart
real
voiced
quick,
Meta.
man, absolutely no one.
Yeah.
Every single
Okay, I
duelist
couldn't hear it,
character in
but
every
holy
single
crap!
series.
Seto Kaiba
Yeah.
and freaking Brock voiced Meta Knight. That is
yeah,
wild.
right. And I can hear it.
I can hear it too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Poor kids did not deserve the voice cast they got.
Yeah,
Fun
but like I
fact,
say,
Ted Lewis voiced James for about all of 8 episodes.
Oh,
I did not know that. That is interesting.
Okay,
for the
that is
episodes,
interesting.
James was voiced by Ted Lewis, but they switched off to Eric Stewart for like the entire The Four Kids one.
Huh, I did not know that. But yeah, getting back to Kirby right back at you, it's kind of a shame we can't talk about the episode Cartoon Buffoon, as for anyone that has seen it, that is easily the funniest and probably the best episode of the show. And we're talking just in terms of quality and enjoyment factor. I mean, what the story of that episode is to go on a very short tangent. Dedede tries to make his own cartoon, and it turns out absolutely hilariously terrible in every way possible. And like I say, it's a thing that's, when you describe it, it doesn't sound funny. You really just have to go and check it out for yourself, and you will probably love it, because it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen. It is a classic. But that's not to say that this episode, Fossil Fools Part 2, was pretty good. As the name suggests, it's part 2 of a two-parter, and the beginning of the episode lets the audience know what happens in part 1. In it, Tiff tells the audience about King Dedede discovering about dinosaurs, learning that they're extinct, and then he contacts a scientist named Dr. Morrow to help him recreate the dinosaurs. Dr. Morrow, of course, is a parody of Dr. Moreau from the book The Island of Dr. Moreau, aka The Island of Lost Souls. And what happens is Dr. Morrow, with the help of Tiff, Dr. Curio, and Kirby, they end up creating dinosaur eggs, and they mysteriously disappear soon after. And this episode is basically a parody of Jurassic Park, well, this and the Fossil Fools Part 2. And it's one of the better parodies of Jurassic Park, in my opinion, because you really feel like this is made out of a love of the source material in its own way. So, Dedede decides to open up a theme park based on the dinosaurs. And the
Jurassic Park.
Yep, exactly. And the preview ends with a giant Dedede dinosaur, or Dedede-saur, if you will.
Dinosaur, thank you.
Even better, even better. Especially chasing down a group of Cappies and Kirby in the boat as Kirby watches on. And we then get the theme song, which, as great as we're going to gush about the dub, I just want to say this. The theme song is absolutely amazing. It is perfect. It's something that it actually feels like it doesn't fit, and it fits absolutely perfectly. It really, really does. You know, the saxophone solo, whoever thought that had to be in a Kirby theme song should get an award.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
The I need a monster clobber that there Kirby lives rent-free in my head.
Oh, it is.
Same.
Yeah. That's what we do at NME. You better get it with
Yeah,
the money.
get it with the money back guarantee.
Hey!
I like the Wombo version a little more, because it's like goes from how can I help you, Dedede? I need a monster to clobber that there Wombo. Cause fuck that guy. Shout out to Wombo if you listen to this, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, the episode itself, Fossil Fools Part 2, begins with the D-Rex, which is its actual name. As much as fun as we want to call it, the Dedede dinosaur. It does have an actual name, apparently. It's chasing down the tour boat that has the Cappies, Tiff, Tuff, Dedede, Escargoon, and Kirby in it. A nice touch occurs right away, and somebody actually had to pause to see that there's a parody of the Jurassic Park logo, except instead of it having the circle, it's a giant D for DDD. And
Yeah. Honestly, this absolutely was 100% Dedede's attempt at making Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Except instead of freaking a scientist wanting to make a flea circus because dramatic reasons, Dedede does it because he wants to see them there dinosaurs. He is a man after my own frickin' heart. I tell you that much.
Definitely, yeah. So a nice.
And you were kind of underselling it with saying, "Oh, he wanted to see dinosaurs." This man went simping so hard for dinosaurs, almost I think more than we do with female dragons.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
wow.
No, Dedede pretty much undermined our freaking passion and appreciation for the freaking what we do on this channel by just being all like
Yeah, exactly.
cracks me up every time I think about it, because like this whole thing freaking started, like you said, because Dedede was simping harder for dinosaurs than freaking we are for, again, dinosaurs and dragons and all that stuff.
Exactly,
And yet
exactly.
this came about because the guy wanted to see him again, and like this is one of the only things he ever got freaking passionate about. Like,
Yeah.
for freaking real. Like, he legit reads for probably the first time in his life. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how serious he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Oh,
but also
gosh.
what's fun about this sequence is just the reaction of the Cappies with the chef Kawasaki saying, maybe we should have gone the merry-go-round instead, being a highlight. And he, again, is a very, very fun character, voiced by the late, great Maddie Blaustein, who also was the dub voice for Meowth, as well as many other 4Kids dubs. May she rest in peace, because she was a legend, absolute legend.
Absolutely.
Yep. So the D-Rex attempts to push a tree onto the boat as it just ends up barely missing. And a good joke, King Dedede doesn't recognize that the dinosaur looks like him and remarks that it looks so familiar. S. Cargoon remarks that's because it looks so awful, which causes Dedede to bonk him on the head in one of the show's running gags.
Right. It looks like you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Son of a bitch, it looks like you.
Well, not with that lie. Yeah. So, yeah. One thing that's interesting about Kirby Right Back at Ya, the show uses a CGI and 2D animation kind of interchangeably, and it is very noticeable when it's done, especially with Dedede and S. Cargoon. But yet, I feel like for me, that's part of the show's charm. Like, it feels like it's a part of the world that, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense that sometimes they're rendered in 3D, and sometimes they're 2D in some shots.
This is one of those weird shows where you can notice when they flip out between the styles, but because of the simplicity of the characters and just how well designed they are in general, it works.
Oh, it does. It really works perfectly. So
absolutely.
Yep. So the D-Rex continues to chase the boat in a spoof of the scene in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is chasing Muldoon, Malcolm, and Sattler. The tour boat goes inside a tunnel, much to the relief of everyone on board. The mayor, who was voiced by the previously mentioned Mike Pollock, and the chief of police are angry at Dedede for endangering them all. S. Cargoon and Dedede basically remark that it's not their fault, and Dr. Morrow was the one that made the dinosaurs. This in turn causes Tiff and Tuff to realize that it was him, and that he was the one responsible for making the dinosaur monsters. It turns out that Dr. Morrow's plan was he took DNA from Dedede, or DDD DNA, to have yet another phrase.
I see you there.
And he used it to make dinosaur monsters rather than real dinosaurs, which of course ends up getting Dedede very angry because he wanted to see real dinosaurs and not monsters. I love that's why he's upset. And again, this is followed by another really funny moment where the show basically shows a flashback to how Dr. Morrow got Dedede and S. Cargoon's DNA. They ended up getting shots for the blood drive, and they're cowering in fear. And Dedede says, "My arm hurt for 3 days." And it's just something about the way he delivers it. It really works out, you know?
My arm hurt for 3 days.
Exactly.
To be fair, like booster shots make your arms freaking sore for like over a little under a week or so.
Nice.
But blood drives, I've been to a few, and honestly, they are a lot less painful than that. So Dedede, you fucking wimp.
I've donated blood before. It doesn't hurt.
Absolutely.
I can definitely see that.
The one thing that I'm sad about that we're only talking about episode 2 rather than episode 1 is that we are skipping over what is easily the funniest joke in this 2-parter.
Oh yeah.
When Dr. Moreau is trying to gauge the intelligence of Dedede and S. Cargoon, he asks, "What is water that falls from the sky?" And Dedede responds, "That's easy. Win.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Perfect. Like I say,
Yeah, that first episode, like it doesn't have anything, which unfortunately, it doesn't have
why
anything
we're not
related to
covering
this
it,
thing.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not covering it, but man, was
It's
it
worth
really
checking
good to
out. It's
tackle.
worth checking out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely worth checking out. If you check
Yes.
out, if you're gonna watch it, watch the first part and then watch Fossil Fools Part 2. Don't just go into watching the second part. But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Because episode 1 focuses so heavily on Dedede, it is non-stop laugh.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like Dedede simping hard on dinosaurs was one thing, but just the lengths he went to made it even funnier. Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
It fucking did.
Yeah. And then we get to see another really cool idea, which is a group of mosquitoes that are also like mosquitoes, but they're also giant syringes. They basically appear and they take blood samples from all of the cappies before flying away, which again is a really unique idea and only existed in this show, which is weird because it really seems like something that could have been a Kirby enemy, especially in something like a Robobot or something like that.
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Right.
It also is reminiscent. Yeah, it also is reminiscent of the freaking mosquitoes from Jurassic Park. Another parallel.
Very well, yeah, that is another intentional reference. And that's a really
yeah.
cool one.
yeah.
anyways. The group get out of the tunnel, and Dedede and Escargoon, being the villains that they are, plan on just abandoning the cappies before another dinosaur appears. This one resembles a gigantic Escargoon just with some horns on it, which leads to a great line from the original Escargoon. It looks like a giant deranged parade balloon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Escargoon dinosaur attempts to attack them before the D-Rex shows up and they battle. There's a really great joke with Dedede and Escargoon cheering on their various dinosaur versions of themselves, which is hilarious.
That was hilarious.
And then, of course, Tiff is the one who has to point out that they can just get out of there, and then they use the boat to try and leave. Then we get to see the two dinosaurs stop buying to pursue it. And then in another really funny gag that I did not expect, and I really, it really came out well, is that D-Rex beats up the Escargoon dinosaur in a way that Dedede beats up Escargoon. And it really does work out well.
Makes perfect sense.
It definitely does. It definitely does, especially if, they're based on their traits in that. So what happens is the cappies all flee in various directions as Escargoon is literally holding on to Dedede's coattails. We get to see more dinosaurs are being made, all of which have traits in the cappies. Chief Bookham, the police chief, sees a brontosaurus with his face. There's a really dark moment with one of the mayor's sheep trying to run towards him before being eaten by a dinosaur that looks just like him.
Oh,
Dark, even for Kirby.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, it's Japan, don't question it, but
Yep.
then there's that.
A lot of things happen to the mayor's sheep over the course of the show with them not being safe. I can see the kids.
And we're not talking about the typical kids show. Oh, he just got swallowed.
No,
You don't
it's-
see anything. You hear crunching sound.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
It's also it's also important to note that oh man, actually now that I think about it, with freaking Dreamland sheep population getting eviscerated and all that like that, it kind of makes you wonder how freaking lamb and wool. It kind of makes you wonder how rare are lamb and wool as like products of commerce and whatnot. That's kind of freaking brutal.
Well, the show sadly did not answer that question, but sadly we did not ever get to see that question answered in the course of the show. But yeah, we then get to see the characters Samo and Mabel are hiding before they see a dinosaur based on them. And it's Dinosaur Mabel is the reason why we are discussing this episode in the first place.
It is a very loose.
Yeah. This was, I'm going to be perfectly honest, this episode really is just an excuse to talk about Kirby right back at you, which,
And
I mean,
trust me,
I'm sorry,
I was looking for a better example.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry, we would have, but I just really want to talk about Kirby because I, as well as I'm sure all of our other co-hosts, we really love this franchise. And anytime we get to talk about it, it's a good day.
I really like it. I don't really love it, but it's a pretty good franchise. Also, there's more than one female dinosaur in this, so come on.
Yeah, sure. We'll talk about the one in a minute. There's a good joke based on it where Samo remarks that the normal version of Mabel is prettier as she turns away with, I should hope so. The Japanese version, on the other hand, is actually different because he remarks that the Mabel dinosaur is beautiful, which causes the Cappy Mabel to get offended on her behalf, which is really, I can see why they didn't have it in the English dub, but at the same time, that is a funnier joke. Let's be real.
I mean,
It is.
that's
It
fair.
is.
Yeah. Japan. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Tiff, Tuff, and Kirby are making their way towards Dr. Morrow's lab before they're being chased by D-Rex. Then we're going to see a dinosaur based on Tiff appears, and it begins attacking D-Rex, and this is the second female dinosaur of the episode.
Yeah.
So, again, it kind of looks like her, but with reptilian features, and it's all right. I feel like for the dinosaurs, they probably could have designed them a little bit differently to have them have more mixture of dinosaur rather than just being like the Cappy's head pasted on like a dinosaur body for the most part, which is what
Or like
really most of them are.
Yeah, or like the freaking Paradox Pokemon from Scarlet, where they're like just all normal Pokemon except Flintstonified, more or less.
Oh,
But
yeah.
still, I like them both just fine. I like Scarlet more than the freaking Cappy, the Dreamland Dinos, but yeah, that's a comparison. That's chaos theory. Yeah.
Yep, it definitely is. But yeah, what happens is the Tiff and a pterodactyl version of Tuff begin attacking D-Rex, and Tiff and Tuff are looking around to find that Kirby is no longer there because he's too busy chasing a watermelon, which is his favorite food. The little boy that he is, Kirby is supposed to be very, very young in the show. So
Oh, yeah, he was confirmed in the show to be a baby, actually.
I did not know that. Huh?
Yeah, Kirby is
makes
absolutely a baby and makes more sense the more you think about it.
Definitely. But he's too busy chasing a watermelon that Waddle Doo and the Waddle Dees are basically dangling before him. Kirby continues to basically chase the watermelon while Tiff and Tuff look for him, and they leave the clearing only seconds before Dedede and Escargoon show up. They finally get to see the laboratory before the D-Rex appears behind them and corners them. They manage to get out of the situation by accidentally leaning against a trap door, and they fall through a vent system. And it turns out that they've made it to Dr. Morrow's laboratory, and they confront him. Dedede goes so far as to pull out like a stereotypical cartoon bomb and threatens to blow up the place, which, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely makes sense for Dedede to be like that. But
He's got quite the explosive personality.
I mean,
you should write for 4 kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. But basically, what happens now is Dr. Morrow tries to convince them otherwise. He claims that it's not a dinosaur factory, but a monster factory. He shows them the monster eggs as 2 of them hatch to show a baby Dedede and Escargoon monster. And the baby Escargoon sounding exactly like him is hysterical. It really made me laugh hard when I first saw this.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. So
Also, baby Dedede and baby Escargoon monsters were adorable.
they were like, they definitely did a good job designing them. So yeah, it turns out that Dedede, being the greedy little guy that he is, he's planning on using Dr. Morrow's dinosaur monsters so that he wouldn't pay Nightmare Enterprises, who he usually gets the monsters from in the show. And it turns out that Dr. Morrow wants some of Kirby's DNA to splice it into a dinosaur. Kirby, meanwhile, is still chasing the watermelon before he falls down the same trapdoor and into the vent system. He lands in a cage-like contraption as Dr. Morrow prepares to inject Kirby with something, or rather, draw blood from him. Tiff and Tuff make their... Oops, go ahead.
Oh, gosh. That just meant... I honestly just realized... That could mean Kirby, the Kirby source, is basically the Indoraptor / Indominus of the freaking Dreamland.
Oh,
It very well could be. It very well, and let's put it this way: this is still better than any of the Jurassic World movies after Jurassic World.
By far.
Okay, Universal.
If only Jurassic World Dominion had King Dedede and Escargoon in it, then maybe it would have been worth watching.
They'd certainly survive a lot better.
Definitely. But yeah, Tiff and Tuff make their way to the lab, but they find it locked. The D-Rex then appears, and it accidentally smashes the door with its tail, which allows them to get in. The 2 run down the hallway before going to the kitchen, and it's here we get an actual spoof of another Jurassic Park sequence. It spoofs the famous kitchen sequence with Chef Kawasaki in there, and him and the 2 kids hide from a Kawasaki dinosaur. And it's here we get a really, really funny joke again from Chef Kawasaki. He's so overjoyed that the dinosaur, resembles him. Oh, it looks just like me. And it's just how he says it so happily. That really made me laugh, especially paired with Maddie Blaustein's delivery of that line.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness, that actually makes sense that Maddie Blaustein plays him.
Yeah.
Oh, let's be silly.
Yep, exactly. So the dinosaur chases a Tough before Kawasaki uses a container of MSG and Tiff uses a fire extinguisher to knock it out. The trio make their way outside to see all of the cappies are being chased by the various dinosaurs. They all make it inside just in time as the door opens, revealing Kirby, Dedede, and Escargoon. Kirby runs up to Tiff and they embrace in a really adorable moment. And it turns out that here we get the climax of the episode because Dr. Moro has made a Kirby dinosaur. Now, the thing is for as fun as this episode is, you think the words Kirby dinosaur. You're thinking all kinds of cool things they could do with it. But it literally is just a larger version of Kirby with a horn, spiked teeth, claws, and an angry expression. And that's it. Which really is kind of a letdown, to be honest, compared to just thinking the idea of a dinosaur version of Kirby,
Honestly, the design, now that I think of it, kind of reminds me of that freaking True Arena design of Kirby from Kirby Star Allies, where like Kirby is like
from this exact anime.
Fair enough, but
yeah. So
I think what happened is they had the idea for the Dedede Dinosaur and the Escargoonsaurus. They just so they made this two-parter with that idea in mind, and then they were like, so how do we make everyone else? Fuck.
That is a very good way of putting it, actually. Yeah, that is an excellent way of putting it. So,
how do we do everybody else? Oh shit.
So they literally just took the cappies and they made them kind of sort of into dinosaurs and not really. And again, it is kind of disappointing. But what is one thing I will say about this though? Kirby got a dinosaur form before Mario did, so at least there's that.
That's true, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, Super Mario World, Super Mario.
Yeah,
Super
we'll talk about that show eventually too. Don't worry about that. We'll get to the Mario cartoons, the other two. We already did Super Show, but we still have to do a Mario 3 and Mario World, and we'll get to them.
Yep,
but yeah,
of course.
It turns out that Dr. Moro reveals that he has dinosaur traits as well as he laughs evilly, and the cappies all run outside yet again, but now they're cornered by the rest of the dinosaurs. The Kirby dinosaur is said to know all of Kirby's attacks, but they are twice as powerful. And then the Kirby dinosaur begins to inhale everything. And it's here that I had to actually pause it for a second. It really reminded me a lot of the Hypernova mode that Kirby would later have.
Oh.
It really reminded me of that. I don't know if it was intentional, although I don't know if HAL Labs liked the Kirby anime or not. They seem to, because they actually have referenced it several times. Escargoon appeared in one of the Kirby minigames, as well as drawings of Tiff and Tough have appeared in one of them. So I feel like they're not as negative towards this anime as Nintendo was towards the Mario cartoon. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Certainly does it.
So yeah, Kirby is basically is holding on to Tiff as Dedede and Escargoon laugh over what's going to happen to Kirby because, as the intro says, Dedede wants to clobber him that there Kirby. And then it's here that we get to see Meta Knight show up. Now here's the weird thing. Meta Knight shows up completely out of nowhere. He has not shown up anywhere in part 1 when they had the park or in this part. He literally shows up as like almost a Deus Ex Machina, and it's so weird.
He is the Deus Ex Machina. It's just like
he is the tuxedo mask of Kirby.
Yeah,
it's the tuxedo mask of Kirby.
Yeah,
and like a Deus Ex Machina. It's a Deus Ex Meta Knight.
It's a Deus Ex Meta.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, he's just like there all of a sudden, like, oh hey, what's going on? Holy shit, a dinosaur!
Oh god, it's great. But yeah, he basically his role in this episode basically just has him remind Tiff that to call the warp star, And it's here we get to see Kabu, who in the games, Kabu is just a small enemy. But yet in the anime, he's like this giant statue. And he sends out the Warp Star. And of course, Kirby hops on it just as he's about to be impaled. Now, Warp Stars are how Kirby gets around in the games. And there's a very fun game called Kirby Air Ride that actually had an episode kind of based on it in this anime. That's a lot of fun.
Well, dang.
And, but it's here we get probably the coolest touch of the episode. That apparently the Kirby Source, as it's called, can also use the same copy abilities that Kirby can. Because Dedede gives it a torch, which causes it to become Fire Kirby Soar. And it's here that the transformation sequence is done exactly how Kirby does it when he gets a power-up in the actual show, which is really fun.
A shame Kirby Source didn't exactly have the quote-unquote smarts that Kirby did, and ultimately got his ass beat.
Exactly.
It's like they literally just swapped the character model. Like in a game.
Does, but even a thing like that is fun, though, that they actually took their time to do that.
Well,
they actually had to, And also,
I appreciate the effort that they showed with that.
Yeah, exactly. And also another fun touch is Kirby's voice actress also voices the Kirby Saurus, which is, again, really, really cute that they actually got to do that.
Yeah.
So, Kirby Saurus shoots fire at Kirby before Dedede tries to feed the dinosaur a bomb to give it more power, but Kirby gets it first. And the bomb gives Kirby the crash ability. Now, in the game...
instead of the bomb ability.
Yeah. I don't think the bomb ability even showed up in the anime kind of thing.
I want to say it did, but I'm going to check.
All right.
Well, while you're checking that, what's interesting is that in the game, the crash...
Yeah, bomb appeared.
Oh, it did. So I wonder why it didn't show up in this episode.
So why did this bomb give him crash?
That's very unusual. But also in the game, at this time period during the game, which is made during the GBA's lifespan, the move Crash did not have a specialized hat here. It just had Kirby glowing a bit. I guess that they thought that wouldn't look visually appealing enough, so they gave Crash an actual hat in this game.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be real with you. I like the Mon hat better.
I like it.
This hat was definitely
it's
interesting.
The hat in this anime is just a weird samurai helmet.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the move at all, which is very strange.
Whereas the one you got in Return to Dreamland is just this dome containing this glowing sphere of energy, and that looks really cool.
Exactly.
So basically a Pope hat.
Exactly, but you have to basically think of it this way, though. They didn't have a hat to base it on in the game at this time, so they had to just come up with anything that they could, and evidently this is the best that they could. Now, in the game, the crash ability basically allows Kirby to destroy every single enemy on screen, and here it serves a similar purpose, as when Kirby uses it, it reduces all of the other dinosaurs to bones instantly, as well as destroying Kirby Saurus, who doesn't leave a skeleton behind, so evidently Kirby does not have bones. And Dr. Moro, who is presumably killed because this is his only appearance, and he is probably one of NME's monsters who are always destroyed by Kirby in the episodes.
This was kind of dark for Kirby, but it's no surprise seeing
Kirby had a lot of dark moments, believe it or not. As fun and as lighthearted.
It also really helps showcase just how destructive Crash is.
Yeah, it literally rips these dinosaurs' flesh and their bones, and you do not get to see that.
It only gets used 3 other times against the Destroyers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Fawful's Minion put it best when he basically compared this to basically Sesame Street meets Majin Buu.
That is a good comparison. That is
also Devil's Advocate on the samurai helmet being here. Samurai were known to do many things for their lord, and I don't think blowing themselves up was out of the question. So I think that's where it came from.
Yeah, but we already have. I think because we already had Ninja, and I think Ninja is.
Yeah, it did seem kind of like it was repeating territory. Exactly, it did kind of seem like that.
Sort of.
So after Kirby uses Crash, what happens is Chef Kawasaki basically jokes that they can use the bones for soup. Escargoon and Dedede manage to stumble out of the rubble. And then it turns out that Dedede has learned absolutely nothing as he plans to charge admission fees for the dinosaur bones. And basically Escargoon argues with him over it. The episode ends with the two of them still arguing as everybody else laughs, which is a classic cartoon trope. And yeah, that's it for this episode. But Kirby, right back at you, lasted for over 100 episodes. And it was, again, as we've mentioned many, many times this episode before, it was an extremely well-made show. It is a lot of fun. It's very easily available online. And they actually released a home media version, but it's only in its Japanese version, sadly, with the English dub only being like a bonus feature on the first disc, which is kind of a shame. And I kind of hope that the rights issues with the dub are sorted out so that they just release the entire dub version on DVD. But it's still good that they actually managed to release this entire anime on home video. And it shows how popular it was in both Japan and beyond, where it probably was a lot of people's introduction to Kirby in general. And I will say, it is probably one of, if not the best adaptation of a video game to an anime that I have seen. Because it really feels like the people who made this show, they wanted to do their own thing, but at the same time, they respected Kirby and they really wanted to do more with the character and the world that he lives in, while also, giving it their own sort of flair. And yeah, I really, really enjoy this show. It is probably one of my favorite animes, to be honest.
I didn't necessarily grow up with it. And for that matter, I know people who did, my sister and her friend in particular, but I, for the longest time, didn't know about this freaking show. And but yeah, upon finding out about it, I was very surprised by it. What it took from the game, what it ultimately decided to ramp up. It's very much enjoyable, and I might ultimately give it a full watch sometime later.
You definitely should. It is well worth that.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a show that, I feel like everyone should watch it at least once because, again, it is a lot of fun. So, yeah.
I still think a couple of the Sonic series are a better game to animated series, largely due to Mike Pollock as Eggman. But this is absolutely second on my list. It's way better than it has any right to be, and Dedede absolutely steals the show. Like one of the greatest comedic animated villains I've ever seen.
Definitely. And Escargoon really works as his little assistant as well. And again, like you said, the relationship between them, especially with Ted Lewis doing both voices, it really, really is incredible. And this, again, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this feels like the one time where 4Kids got everything perfectly right. The only thing that is kind of a shame is they had to replace some of the Kirby music, I guess because of copyright or stuff like that.
Yeah,
it is kind of a shame.
Nintendo is like Toho.
Yeah.
With the copyright.
Very much so, unfortunately. But yeah, now it's time for the question of the episode, which is, what are your favorite Kirby memories? And I'm going to start. Now, I grew up with Pokemon being one of my first games, and Mario, and some stuff on PlayStation, but not really Kirby. What actually got me interested in Kirby for the first time was seeing the commercial to A Nightmare in Dreamland on TV. I saw that, and it just, for some reason, just like captivated me. I don't know why. It's the one time where I think marketing really, really worked because I actually wanted to see what this show was and what it was about. So I actually went and I bought Nightmare in Dreamland, and I was hooked. I played that game over and over again. It was a lot of fun. I did the same with Amazing Mirror, which is an excellent sequel. The only thing I would change is the AI for some of the other Kirbys are pretty bad. Thankfully, it's now available on Switch with online play, so that fixes that problem, thankfully. And yeah, I think it's from those two games, which are, in my opinion, some of the best in the series, that really made me fall in love with Kirby as a franchise and as a character. And then I went and I checked out the anime. Now, because of what happened over here in Spain with the anime, it only aired on Toon Disney, which is a cable channel that not many people had, and the dub is actually the lost media over here. I first heard of this show when I saw it on YouTube, believe it or not, because during the early days of YouTube, this is way back during the beginning of YouTube, where you could find pretty much anything you wanted without any copyright worrying. They had the entire anime on there with the English dub, and I watched all of it. I binged it and fell in love with it even more so. And like I say, I feel like my favorite Kirby memory in general is just like discovering it for the first time, like getting my copy of Nightmare on Dreamland and playing it and just being completely blown away with it. And again, it's not like the most technically advanced or, best visually appealing game in the world, but there's just something about it that is just so captivating and just so much fun. It really, really is. And I enjoyed Kirby so much because of that. It was my introduction to Kirby and responsible for why I love the character so much and the world and really everything with it. And like I say, all of his, again, YouTuber and dude who is a huge Kirby fan, I think he said something like, there has never, there has never been a bad Kirby game. And I think he's right. I don't think there's ever been a Kirby game you can actually call bad. Like maybe a little like disappointing or maybe a little less content, but there's never been one that's been outright terrible. And for a franchise that has been going on since like the early 90s, that is a huge achievement. And, big thumbs up to HAL Labs for how good they've done it. And I hope they just keep on making good Kirby material. But yeah, that's going to be my pick for my favorite Kirby memory was going to be playing Nightmare on Dreamland and Amazing Mirror for the first time and seeing the anime on early 2000s YouTube. So, Angron, what would you say is your favorite Kirby memory?
Okay, starting off, I got into Kirby via the Game Boy games, but I didn't really actually play a Kirby game until freaking Squeak Squad. That was fun. I had my enjoyment with it. The trailer I saw for it was fun. And what else? Oh, that's not the memory I want to actually share, though. The memory I actually do want to share, though, is how I was introduced to Kirby Right Back At Ya. So so when we were still relatively around middle school age or so, or maybe elementary, I want to say, my sister went to a sleepover with her friend, and they ultimately saw freaking what was it? Kirby Right Back At Ya. And oh man, just imagine the shock on my face when they came home and told me about this. Like they told me about freaking everything and about the episode they saw, which was the episode with Beowulf and Meta Knight ultimately, put in a coma because of Beowulf's fang or something like that. Oh man. But they told me about the entire episode. It was fun. From what they told me. But you want to know what I remember the most about that moment?
Go right ahead.
My sister, as sort of a comedic gag, that me and her did, Emily reenacted a scene where King Dedede was in his dining room waiting for his food to arrive, and oh gosh, I kid you not. Here is the phrase that I legit remember to this day because of that. Like, you like some more chili? And it's just freaking, in my mind, it just shows Beowulf popping out of the freaking giant ass pot and just roasting King Dedede. Oh god. But that's not all. That's not all. Because I decided to add to that with the freaking guy giving Dedede the chili being like, okay, I need it myself. And he just freaking puts a spoon in his freaking mouth like, each bite, he's just like gagging. Because there's a legit wolf in the freaking chili. It would be pretty gross.
Oh god, that is hilarious. Wow.
Man, it's better if you were there for it, but oh my gosh, to this day it still makes me fucking laugh.
I can definitely see why that sounds hilarious.
Yeah. That honestly sounds like what the freaking episode would do, honestly.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that is a great moment right there. So, Stryker, what would you say is your favorite Kirby memory?
My Kirby memories actually came from when I first played Melee like I grew up playing Super Smash Bros. Melee on GameCube, mainly
Nice.
because like I got a GameCube for Christmas, and that was the pack-in game.
Mm.
And
Nice.
my sister actually mained Kirby for a while because, like,
Oh
he was
gosh.
cute.
Hey,
Oh gosh,
nothing
main
wrong.
Melee
Nothing
Kirby.
wrong with main Kirby. Nothing wrong with main Kirby. He's a good boy, and I like playing as him. I don't care what they say. I main Kirby. Kirby is fun.
Absolutely, I would mainly play as like Link or maybe even Marth or Roy, but like, nah, she would mainly main Kirby, and even sometimes I would play as Kirby. But I mainly remember playing on my 3DS. I actually got the original two Dreamland games on there.
Nice.
Awesome.
I remember getting the first two games on my 3DS for my birthday.
Mm.
I was given like money, and I spent it on a card for the Nintendo eShop, and so I bought those games on there, and I just bought the first one because like I wanted to see how it was, and I liked it so much that I actually even tried hard mode, which I never
Ooh.
passed it, but I still played it. And then I bought the second one. I didn't beat that one yet, but like I really enjoyed it.
Wait, what was hard mode?
It's like a little cheat code at the end of the game that makes the enemies a little
Oh
harder.
yeah, extra mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then of course later I bought Kirby's Dream Land 3 on my Wii U, and like that was one of the best games I've actually played in my
Nice.
opinion.
Nice.
Nice.
Even like with I still swear this game I still swear Mario Kirby 64 did not deserve a T rating when it got re-released on Switch.
I mean,
That was so weird.
I mean,
there's
no,
literal blood in the final boss.
yes, but if anyone remembers Zero from Kirby's Dream Land 3, that game more deserves an M rating because there's actually gore in it.
yeah,
Ooh.
I know. I know what you
I'm
mean.
shocked they got away with that too. Especially.
It's still rated E10.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like both those two games had gore in it, and honestly, to be fair, technically, Kirby Star Allies had the same thing more or less.
Yeah,
I know when you think about it. Yeah.
I'm just still like puzzled why the game was given a T rating. Either way, I'm still going with like the original Dreamland games as my favorite Kirby memory because like both of those games are unforgettable for me.
Yeah. I definitely can see that because the classic trilogy definitely is probably one of the best games of the franchise. I definitely gotta agree with you there. So, Jordan, what would you say is your favorite Kirby-related memory?
I've never played a single Kirby game, and besides Smash Brothers, and you play as Kirby. I never used him, but when I watched the series of the Back at You, I just love how cute and adorable that Kirby is in the series. I rarely watch the series, but I think the one I liked the most was probably the opening, like the first episode of Kirby Right Back at You, just being like, oh, he's just this little baby thing and he's fighting King Dedede to save these people. And I'm like, oh, he's just a little baby. He's
He
just so
is.
cute being, hi.
He's a
Exactly.
baby
He is a
freaking-
little boy.
He's a
That's my
baby
little nickname
god
for him,
killer.
the
That's
boy.
what he is.
Yeah.
He is a god killer.
He is.
Suck it, Kratos.
Yeah. Like I say, my little nickname for
I
him
have
is
seen
the
this
boy.
numerous times in my life.
The boy.
Kirby's only killed 2 gods.
Yeah,
Valid.
If anything, he goes after power hungry wizards more often.
he does. He does very much so.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
pretty
Like
much
the
it
only
for my
2
memory for
gods he
Kirby.
really has beaten are Nokotius and maybe Dark Nebula.
True.
I mean, technically, Void Termina counts as a god, right?
Yeah, if you want to
No,
thing about it.
Void Termina is not a god.
Oh,
Hyannis just worships him like one.
I see. That makes sense.
Wait,
So
I'm sure there were gods in the Kirby games. Well, any god tier anyway, but
sounds like it.
continue.
Yeah, no, go ahead. It's all good. So, okay, Math, what would you say is your favorite Kirby memory?
I'm going to go with a weird one.
Go ahead. You
OG
like weird?
Game Grumps.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
The very first episode of Game Grumps was them playing one of the Kirby games.
Kirby Superstar.
And yeah, Superstar, thank you. And there was a moment in it when they were just explaining what this is, and Aaron Egoraptor said, this is just a show where we yell at games. To which JonTron then said, okay, right as Mike Kirby was doing his shout, and the timing of it was just so hilarious.
Shush.
It's one of those things that it's hard to explain unless you actually go and watch it, just how funny it is and how it kind of set the tone for the JonTron era of Game Grumps. And it was just really funny to me and helped me to understand what the show was and why I followed it for as long as I did.
Funny thing you should mention funny you mentioned that, because my first episode was the Teletubbies one, which was during the Dan era of Game Grumps, and the ongoing era, anyways. Oh man,
Nice. So yeah, LuckyEevee, what would you say is your favorite Kirby memory?
Oh, I stopped.
Oh, here, this is gonna be good.
oh boy.
I first started. I'm not sure which game I started, but there were 3 possible candidates. Supercell Ultra, Epic Yarn, and Mass Attack. I know, 3 very different games in terms of playstyle. But ever since then, I've been trying to play Kirby, like, with each game at least. The only one I really held off on was Robobot, and I still get to play Rainbow Curse. Although I would love to. Although knowing me, I tried to 100% that game, and from what I've seen, 100% it is not fun.
Yeah, I can kind of see
100% which
that.
game?
Rainbow Curse.
I can see why.
I still have 100% Triple Deluxe.
It's weird how Kirby games are like almost universally Babby's first game, unless you try to 100% or hard mode them.
Yeah, then it ranks it up to like 11. Like Mario did the same thing with Mario Wonder too.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
What's stopping me from completing Triple Deluxe 100% is Dedede's Drum Dash, of all things.
Oh, I've seen playthroughs of it. That is insane. I could definitely,
No, like, just doing the bare minimum to get past the levels? I still can't do that.
Indeed.
Like, you don't need to platinum everything. But still, like, I have no sense of rhythm or visual rhythm. So I can't ever get the backbeat right.
I do it.
Oh god, I just realized something.
What?
Which is why I will never buy GD Drum Dash Deluxe.
You won't be able to because it was exclusively on
fine.
the 3DS
This is
eShop.
why I will never emulate GD Drum Dash Deluxe.
You won't be able to. I still think it's funny because it's like, you won't be able to play it ever anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's one less Kirby game to play.
Yep.
I have played literally every other 3DS eShop game besides Drum Dash Deluxe, and honestly, I don't feel like I've missed out on anything.
I'll bet.
Yeah, wow.
Oh man.
Sure.
Honestly, like, one of these days, I need to just get down to it and try my damnedest to beat Churina and the Turn of Dreamland Deluxe.
Yeah, by all means, you'll give it a shot.
But I hate the Duma fights in that mode.
Yeah, I can definitely see why, you know.
Like Crown Duma and the Duma Flock, they're just so annoying.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how I'm gonna do. Or
Oh
Do
yeah.
what? Sorry.
I can't even imagine how I'm gonna be doing the EX lore fight.
Oh, right.
I'm not even sure if I'm gonna survive Megala's soul, because that's an entirely different fight, true, you know.
Definitely.
I mean, to be fair, in the past, people have used Spark to blitz through it, no sweat. I'm no different.
I've tried to use Stone, which is my go-to, and Stone just is not cut it for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonder if freaking Spark can still do it, unless it's Plasma now.
Have to see about
I
it.
think it's still Plasma.
Oh boy.
I don't know. The two are so interchangeable that it messes with everything.
Yeah, for a time they combined the two and just called it Spark, but then they got rid of it in favor of Plasma.
I mean, they're still combined. It's just what name they choose is completely up to the development team.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun talking about Kirby, and now it's time for the patent pending Dragoness
We forgot
Scale.
about Felix.
Sorry. Felix, Felix says that his favorite Kirby memory is a very interesting one. So sorry to forget our guest like that. He says that his favorite Kirby memory is the infamous scene of Kirby falling down the hole from the first episode. Basically, what happens is Kirby comes to Cappy Town, which is also the name of the episode, believe it or not. Dedede basically throws him down a hole, and there's a scene where Kirby falls while screaming that became a meme recently. Probably because of the animation, because of how Kirby looked, or both.
Yeah, Kirby just sort of nonplussed about the entire thing.
It's kind of like the what happened later with the SpongeBob meme, with the one from Sleepy Time. Ah, this looks neat. I wonder. It's kind of like that. Yeah, and that's a good moment. So yeah. That's what his pick is for his favorite Kirby moment, and I can definitely see why, because it is a very, very funny one. So now it is time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale, where we rank the Dragoness and our female dinosaur in this case, which is the dinosaur version of Mabel / Tiff, I guess. Now we had a lot of fun talking about this episode. We had a lot of fun, talking about Kirby in general, but these designs, I don't feel like they really gave it their all, except as Math earlier said, for the Dedede Saur and the Escargoon dinosaur. It feels like for the rest of them, they kind of slapdashed it together at the last second. That's not saying it's bad, because it is still good animation. It is still good, with like how they did like the distorted voices are fun in that, and the giant yellow eyes definitely give them a very unique look. But as a whole, I'm going to give them probably one of the lowest scores I have given any Dragoness in probably months at this point. I'm going to give them a 4 out of 10. Just because I really feel like, aside from Dedede Saurs and Escargoon, who, if they were in the running as well as the Kirby Saurs, it'd probably be a couple of points higher. But yeah, I really feel like they didn't give it their all, and it's a shame, because usually this is an animation crew and a creative crew that really does a lot better with it. But unfortunately, that's going to be my pick. Angron, what would you have to give him?
I'm going to go a little higher. I will say 5 or 6 out of 10. Probably going to go with 6. A little generous there. The designs more or less work. The diversity was what ultimately kills it for me, and the fact that, well, they're just the main cast as dinosaurs. But the things they do with them are good enough that I ultimately feel like they deserve a little higher score. Also, how they go out is pretty impressive. So I'm gonna give them a 6.
I can see that. I can kind of see that. Like I say, you do tell that they did try to do their best, but again, it just feels like, again, at least for me, they couldn't cut it. So, Stryker, what would you have to give them?
I actually did enjoy the dinosaur designs, but while I do have to agree with you about the Mabel dinosaur design, for some reason the Tiff dinosaur, I actually like that a lot.
Mm.
But yeah, I do have to agree. They could have gone a little farther with the designs, and I think I'll have to go with a 6. I know that might sound a little generous, but like that's because I
Yeah.
like the Tiff dinosaur a little more.
Yeah. So what are you gonna give him? Sorry about that.
A 6.
A 6. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, 6 out of 10. That's good. Jordan, what would you have to give him?
7. I just love
7?
how the Kirby sword looked just so flipping cute. You know, he's got like an evil face. He looks so just
I know.
Yeah.
It was.
And then
Yeah.
seeing how the tiny King Dedede sword just like he's want me like, oh, I want to just cuddle and make a plushie out of him.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised they never did that, to be honest.
Actually, thinking
Yeah.
about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they weren't so bad, they would be just adorable to have. But you know, things always go wrong with the world with Kirby. I'm surprised they didn't do a Meta Knight dinosaur in the series.
Actually, what the
Because
fuck?
Meta Knight
Where
was
the
gone
Meta
for like
Knight
the entirety of the
I
two
mean,
part until that
yeah.
one scene.
He just popped up out of nowhere, just like, what is going on? He's a dinosaur.
Plus, I
exactly.
think with the mosquito bots, Meta Knight would just slap everything, or just slash everything out of the sky.
Definitely.
fucking just kills
Like
it
I
instantly.
don't think you could get Meta Knight's DNA if you tried.
No.
True.
And the mask alone, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving them a 7 because they're cute and adorable. You just can't hate them. I mean, designs could be a little bit better on some, but still, they're so dang adorable.
Indeed.
You know what? All this positivity might have convinced me to change my score, though I won't do it just yet. Matt, what would you have to give him?
I'm gonna go 5.
Okay.
Did not like the design of the Mabelsaurus. It was, I don't know, it just did not work. The Tiffosaurus actually did work for me. I found that kind of, not a good design, but at least an interesting one. And they had no personalities. They were just giant monsters.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But what worked and what actually bumped this up from a 4 to a 5 for me was the fact that the Tiffosaurus and the Tuffadactyl effectively recreated that one scene of the raptors attacking the T-Rex in the OG Jurassic Park when they were attacking the Dinosaur.
Oh, right. And then I didn't think about that. That is very, very true. Wow. I did not consider that before, but
as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, okay, I recognize this scene. I get what they're going for." That and the 1-2 punch of that scene and Tough going, Tough saying to Tiff, "Oh, hey, that dinosaur has your personality too."
yeah. I forgot to mention that was a good joke. That was a good joke. I'll admit.
That was funny.
Yeah, I think I am gonna be convinced now. You guys have convinced me. I don't know if I could go any higher than it. I'm gonna bump it up to a 5 out of 10 as well. I don't know if I could quite go there to 6, but yeah, 5 out of 10 I think is a pretty good thing. So
I might do a 5 out of 10 as well for consistency.
No, you don't have to change it. It's all good. You feel like you have 6 out of 10, you keep it. So LuckyEevee, what do you have to give him?
I guess also 5.
Okay.
It's also notable for being the first appearance of Crash.
Sure. Oh, it was in the anime? I did not know that. This was pretty far into the anime,
and then
too.
Crash wouldn't come back around until, like, the series finale.
Yeah. I guess they were saving it, like, the best for last. I mean, it does fit to put it there.
It is definitely one of the strongest of Kirby's capabilities.
Oh, definitely. I mean, look, in this episode, it reduced all those dinosaurs to bone instantly, so that alone shows you how tough it is. And yeah, Felix, our guest for this episode, has decided to give Mabel Dinosaur / Tiff an 8 out of 10. He didn't really explain why he did that, but that's a pretty good score. So, yeah, definitely an interesting episode. And again, this wasn't one where the focus was really on the dragonesses or female dinosaurs. This is really just a thinly veiled excuse to talk about Kirby, but we took it and we had a lot of fun.
This is a thinly veiled excuse to talk about Dedede.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Perfect. I don't think we could end it off perfectly then with that. So yeah, if you have any questions, or if you want to send us your ideas for monsters that DVD could send to clobber that there, Kirby, you can email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com or visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Next time, we'll be looking at the 1985 Adventures of the Gummy Bears episode, Someday My Prince Will Come. Prince is in like fingerprints. So yeah, that'll be very interesting, talking about one of the first times that Disney tried to do Saturday morning cartoons. This is like their first toe in the water, I think, after the Wuzzles, and it'll be very interesting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Gonna have a lot of fun talking about that and talking about how the show really came to be in general, because it is very interesting, the backstory behind it. But that'll be next week. So until then, take care.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.